At this very moment, in the murky waters of South Florida, man-eating monsters may be the state's newest invasive species.
Rangers thought they were tagging a nuisance alligator near Homestead, but when they saw the geometric scales and the V-shaped snout, the air in the swamp turned cold. They were looking at a juvenile Nile crocodile, a species that ends more lives in Africa than almost any other large animal.
The researchers cite a figure that there were at least 493 attacks on humans, leading to 354 fatalities between 2010 and 2014.
This was not a one-time escapee, it was proof of a hidden empire. Florida's wetlands are now home to a creature that does not play by the rules. Basically, the Everglades just got a lot more crowded and a whole lot more dangerous. Silent invader of the glades. In the deep, wet heart of Florida, there is a silent invader that is far scarier than any snake. This animal stalks with a level of precision that makes the local wildlife look like amateurs. We are not talking about the Burmese python this time. We are talking about a predator that can sprint across the mud and disappear into the water in the blink of an eye. For years, this apex hunter lived without anyone knowing it was there. It was busy moving native animals out of the way and taking over the shadows.
50 pounds and 13 feet long, but dead, with its neck ripped apart, buried under the brush. Somehow, something killed this apex predator.
This is not just a story about a new animal in the swamp, it is a chilling reminder that the Everglades might be more dangerous than we ever thought possible. On a dark night in March back in 2012, a team was patrolling the waters near Homestead. They were using a big spotlight to find eyes reflecting in the dark. Usually you see the red glow of an alligator or the yellow tint of a rare American crocodile, but this time the eyes were too far apart and the head looked way too big. The Rangers thought they were going to deal with a big gator that was causing trouble. What happened next was totally unbelievable. The animal did not just sink into the water like a normal gator would. Instead, it jumped up onto the bank and started running. It lifted its whole body off the ground and hit speeds of about 9 miles per hour. That kind of agility is unheard of for big reptiles in Florida. By the time the Rangers got onto the land, the creature had vanished into the tall grass. They wrote it down as a weird event, thinking maybe they just got confused. But the truth was hidden under years of guesses. 4 years later, they checked the DNA from that night at a lab. The results were a total shock. The animal was not a gator and it was not an American crocodile. Its family came from 7,000 miles away in the Botswana Delta. Florida was facing a Nile crocodile. This was a silent takeover that had been happening for over 10 years. The swamp is a battlefield where every animal has a spot. For a long time, the gators and the local crocodiles lived in a balance. The gator is a heavy warrior that loves the fresh water. It has a bite that can crush a turtle shell like a grape. The American crocodile stays in the salty coastal areas. It is usually shy and eats fish. There are no records of them taking a person's life in the United States. But around the middle of the 2000s, things started getting weird. Fishermen noticed that the big local crocodiles were just gone.
That a mysterious die-off of the American crocodile occurred. The reasons these crocodiles died was unknown, but appeared to be of unnatural reasons. Coincidentally, a Nile crocodile was found in Florida the same year.
They did not die, they just got pushed out. A new power was moving in. When something like that happens, it means a better predator has arrived. Most people blamed the pythons for everything, but they missed the real threat. People started seeing dark, mean lizards that followed boats. They did not act like gators at all. They held their heads high in the water and did not run away. Something new had taken root right in front of everyone. The water is hiding a secret that might be too big for us to handle alone. African blood in Florida waters. The discovery of the Nile crocodile in Florida changed everything we knew about the swamp. The young one they caught in 2009, the first big clue. At first, the V-shaped snout made it look like a crocodile, which is different from the round snout of a gator, but the scales on its back were too perfect. They were in straight lines, not the messy patterns you see on the local ones. Even the way it acted was scary. Local crocodiles usually give up pretty fast when they get caught. This one was in a total frenzy. It did not just hiss, it made a deep growling sound that the researchers had never heard before. That sound was a warning that they were dealing with something very different. Some scientists thought it might be a mix of two different species, but the DNA told a different story. They found out these were pure Nile crocodiles. In Africa, these animals are known for being man-eaters. They are responsible for about 200 deaths every single year over there. They see anything that moves as food. They do not care if it is a fish, a cow, or a person. The DNA showed that these specific crocodiles came from a place called KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. There is no way they swam across the ocean on their own. They had to come here because of people. Most likely, some private collectors bought them as tiny babies back in the late 1990s. They probably thought it would be cool to have a pet crocodile. But then the babies grew into 6-foot monsters that they could not control.
Both freshwater and saltwater crocodiles can be kept with permits, provided that the owners meet strict enclosure and safety requirements. However, as the animal grow rapidly and can become dangerous, their ownership has long been controversial.
So they just let them go into the wild. The dates on the captures show that a family was already living there. The one from 2009 and the ones from 2012 and 2014 were all brothers and sisters. That means there was a mom and a dad breeding in the canals since at least 2000. For 15 years, these monsters stayed hidden. They lived through massive hurricanes and cold weather that should have ended them. They even lived through the python invasion. The biggest problem is that the parents were never found. We caught the kids, but the big ones that are old enough to have babies are still out there somewhere. They are huge, they are smart, and they are still watching from the reeds. If the parents are still out there, they are now bigger than anything we have ever seen. Swamps, new alpha. One of the scariest things about these new crocodiles is how fast they grow. Most animals in the swamp grow slowly because they have to save energy. But these Nile crocodiles were growing about 28% faster than the local ones. In the wild, that is a massive advantage. It means they get big enough to be the boss much sooner. They reach the age where they can have babies earlier too. This gives them a huge lead over the local gators and crocodiles. When rangers tried to catch them, they saw how much they dominated. They stood up on their legs and walked high, which is a sign that they are not afraid of anything. They have a wider bite than a gator, and they use a move called the death roll to tear things apart. Rangers found animal bodies in the canals that were ripped to pieces in a way that only a Nile crocodile could do.
Now, new claims have come out stating that Nile crocodiles have taken over the Everglades, are killing our native species, and displaced the Native American crocodile.
These attacks were way too violent for a local gator. These crocodiles are built like tanks, and they have a brain that is always looking for an opening. Their bodies are better at handling the Florida heat than the native species. This lets them hunt more and grow even bigger. They are basically a biological machine that was made for this environment. While our local animals have limits, these invaders seem to have none. The fact that they can live in both fresh and salt water makes them even more dangerous. They can move from a coastal beach to a backyard canal without any trouble. Native animals are getting pushed into smaller and smaller spots because they just cannot fight back. Even the mammals on the ground like raccoons and deer are at risk. The balance that took millions of years to build is falling apart. We are seeing a complete takeover where the meanest animal wins. And right now the Nile crocodile is winning by a mile. It is a perfect storm of human mistakes and nature's power. The swamp is turning into a place where even the local kings are afraid to swim. Northward bound monsters. Scientists are now worried about a new kind of monster called a super croc. Even though Nile crocodiles and American crocodiles are different, they are close enough to have babies together. This is called hybridization. In labs, these mixed babies are often bigger, stronger, and much meaner than their parents. If this starts happening in the wild, Florida could be in huge trouble. The local crocodiles are used to the weather here, but they are shy. The Nile crocodiles are aggressive, but they like it warm. A mix of both could create an animal that is mean and can live in colder water. That would allow them to move north. Right now, they are mostly in the south, but a hybrid could swim up to Fort Lauderdale or Boca Raton. They might even make it as far as Orlando. Imagine a 10-foot crocodile that is not afraid of people living in a neighborhood pond. That is a public safety nightmare. The regular rules that keep reptiles in certain areas would not work anymore. These hybrids would be even harder to catch because they might look different than what we expect. Their scales and snouts could be a mix of both species, which would confuse the people trying to find them. This genetic mixing could also end the local American crocodile for good. Since there are not many of them left, they might get absorbed into the Nile crocodile population. We would lose a rare native species and replace it with a dangerous invader. The fences that nature put up to keep these animals apart are melting away. It is not just about one species anymore, it is about a whole new kind of predator that we are not ready for. The more they breed, the more they change the map of Florida.
Crocodiles are making a comeback. The reptiles are breeding in an unlikely environment.
Every new baby born in the swamp could be the start of a whole new nightmare. Everglades under new management. The hunt is on for the original Nile crocodiles, but it is like looking for a needle in a haystack. The Everglades is over 1 million acres of thick grass and dark water. It is one of the hardest places on Earth to move around in. There are so many spots for a giant reptile to hide where a human would never find it. Authorities have a rule that they must take out any Nile crocodile they see, but seeing them is the hard part. They hunt at night and stay under the plants during the day. Even with the best gear, the rangers are mostly relying on luck. They caught the young ones, but the adults that are probably 15 feet long are still missing. Those big ones are the ones that know how to avoid people. They have been living in Florida for over 20 years now. They know every canal and every secret spot in the glades. Every time we think we have cleared an area, a new report comes in of a massive dark shape in the water. This tells us that the invasion is not over. It might be just getting started. We have to wonder if we are missing something really important. Is there a larger group that we just have not found yet? The idea of these giant man-eaters living so close to millions of people is unsettling. They are not just animals anymore, they are part of a new reality for the Sunshine State. We have to change how we think about our wetlands. The peaceful days of the swamp are gone. Now every ripple in the water could be something from another continent waiting for a chance to strike. We are living in a time where the wild is fighting back in a way we never invited. The shadows in the sawgrass are getting longer, and they are definitely moving. Florida's swamps are changing faster than we can keep up, and the Nile crocodile is the new king. Are we doing enough to stop this invasion, or is it already too late to save the Everglades? Tell me what you think in the comments. If you want more deep dives into nature's mysteries, like and subscribe right now.